Welcome to HFY Sci-Fi Stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss new stories. A Starfall military academy, a monument to organized violence, stood sentinel on the edge of civilized space. Its uranium spires pierced the void, an architectural boast of their importance. Holographic displays pulsed with the academy's motto, Unity through superior firepower, in 47 languages, a breathtakingly unsubtle declaration. This crown jewel of the Galactic Defense Coalition's educational system welcomed the offspring of diverse species, each taught the brutal art of organized conflict. Krillians channeled natural aggression, Dryarians suppressed primal fury, and Zentarans perfected calculated elimination. Humans, introduced 3 years prior as a diplomatic gesture, were viewed as an afterthought, a mere sop to appease the excluded. Professor Zathar, a grizzled Krillian veteran scarred by 17 campaigns, found this practice both pointless and deeply offensive. He viewed the soft, pink mammals from their garden world as the ultimate insult. The morning of the incident unfolded like every other in Professor Zathar's advanced tactical warfare class. 23 cadets, representing 6 species, assembled in a strict, unspoken hierarchy. Kryans and Dryarians, imposing figures, staked their dominance, while Xenurans, oversized minds bent over data, and Bulgarians, massive and formidable, occupied the back rows. And then there was Marcus Chen, the lone human cadet, neither overly eager nor conspicuously tardy, settled into the mid-F section, choosing calculated engagement over unnecessary attention. His performance throughout the semester was consistently unremarkable, a blur in the classroom. Average build, unremarkable features, he seemed to belong, to blend, to be a cog in the machine. Mediocrity was his signature. Other cadets viewed him as background noise, a neutral element. Vexthul, a Drakarian with a lineage of generals, scornfully mocked human traditions. Kiara, the Xenurian prodigy, calculated their threat level as that of a determined houseplant. Bronk, the Thagarian demolition specialist, ignored him entirely. Today's lecture focused on the defining moments shaping modern doctrine. Professor Zathar, with the gravel-toned authority of a seasoned warrior, declared, "Each species brings unique strengths to our coalition." The holographic display filled the lecture hall with the Battle of Cathara Station, showcasing the Krillian siege methodology, then the Dryarian berserker charges, culminating in the Zentoran precision strikes. Their methodological precision, showcased by the Tharian demolitions, culminated in a spectacular finale of devastating explosions, obliterating enemy infrastructure with chilling efficiency. "Now, for our culminating revelation," Professor Zithgar declared, a subtle shift in his tone. "The visual data you are about to witness was recently unearthed from a declassified operation. Our foremost intelligence analysts have pored over every frame, meticulously striving to decipher the radical tactical methodology demonstrated within." The holographic display flickered, then resolved into a stark, grainy handheld recording, an immediate, visceral jolt from the polished presentations before. Gone were the clean, sterile angles. Here was the raw, dizzying chaos of urban conflict. Smoke-choked narrow corridors, emergency lights painted grotesque shadows, and the camera jolted violently with every concussive blast. This scenario depicts a single operative, deeply entrenched on a hazardous reconnaissance mission within heavily hostile territory, Professor Zithgar elucidated, his voice now imbued with intensity. "Observe with unwavering focus. The tactical calculus displayed within the footage transcends conventional understanding. Our analysts regard it as a groundbreaking evolution in combat doctrine." The visual depicted a lone figure weaving through the mangled wreckage of what seemed to be a sprawling space station. The operative's movements were not merely fluid, they were a terrifying dance of ruthless precision. Unlike earlier showcases of inherent species advantages, this was raw, calculated lethality brought to chilling perfection. Improvised weapons, ordinary maintenance tools, became instruments of absolute destruction, wielded with lethal efficiency. Every environmental hazard was transformed into a decisive, tactical advantage. Each movement was a layered strategy, simultaneously advancing position, forging contingency options, and neutralizing threats. "Note the extraordinary adaptability," Professor Zithgar murmured, his professional interest now undeniably captivated. "This operative exhibits complete mastery across numerous combat disciplines, all while sustaining unparalleled three-dimensional situational awareness." The entire class sat spellbound, utterly transfixed as the solitary combatant systematically unraveled and dismantled what was clearly a vastly superior enemy force. These tactics defied conventional wisdom, not by overtly breaking established coalition doctrine, but by distilling those very principles to their most brutal, absolute essence. The operative became a phantom, appearing and vanishing like a specter, striking with shocking speed from impossible angles, then dissolving into the shadows before any coherent counter could materialize. Panic began to ripple through the enemy ranks, their coordinated efforts fracturing as they confronted an adversary who simply refused to conform to any predictable pattern of engagement. The recording surged to its breathtaking climax as the combatant executed a complex, devastating maneuver, simultaneously eradicating the last vestiges of hostile resistance and securing the critical primary objective. For a fleeting instant, the camera captured a sharp, unmistakable view of the operative's face, scarred, etched with grim determination, and radiating an unnerving, absolute professionalism. A profound silence descended upon the lecture hall, heavy with the weight of students grappling with what they had just witnessed. This wasn't the clean, predictable warfare their training had prepared them for. The inherent natural advantages of established species now seemed almost charmingly archaic, almost quaint, beside the cold, methodical brutality they had just observed. The operative's identity remains rigorously classified, Professor Zithgar finally concluded, his voice a low hum. Yet our intelligence analysis unequivocally indicates this represents a watershed moment, a profound leap forward in tactical doctrine. Questions? The silence that followed was a tangible thing, stretching taut for several seconds, until a voice, deceptively calm, emerged from the middle left section. "That's me." The words, utterly devoid of emphasis or drama, were a mere whisper, a simple, unadorned statement of fact, delivered with the same mundane indifference Marcus Chen might use to identify his lunch selection. Every single head in that vast lecture hall pivoted as one, eyes locking onto the unassuming human cadet. Professor Zithgar's mandibles clicked audibly, a staccato rhythm of pure, unadulterated confusion, the involuntary biological equivalent of a species-wide double-take. I beg your pardon, Cadet Chen," Zithgar stammered, his usual composure fractured. "Could you possibly repeat that?" "That's me," Marcus reiterated, his voice flat, devoid of any discernible emotion, as if he were merely confirming his class schedule. "In the footage. That's me." The silence that descended then was absolute, the profound stillness that inevitably follows when the very bedrock of reality abruptly fractures, demanding immediate, drastic reevaluation. It was the crushing quiet of 23 alien minds, simultaneously and frantically recalculating every single precept they had held dear about the unassuming human who had, for months, so expertly performed a facade of aggressive mediocrity. Professor Zithgar's chitinous exoskeleton emitted a faint, protesting creak as he slowly, deliberately shifted his considerable weight. "Cadet Chen," he finally managed, his voice carefully controlled. "This, as I stated, is footage extracted from a highly classified military operation. Are you indeed asserting that you recognize the combatant depicted?" "I'm not claiming anything, Professor," Marcus responded, his voice unwavering, carrying the serene patience of someone clarifying an undeniable, self-evident truth. "I am stating, quite plainly, that the individual depicted in that footage is unequivocally myself. Specifically, it is me during the Kepler Station incident, which transpired approximately 18 months ago." Vex Thul's characteristic aggressive posture had subtly collapsed, replaced now by a profound, unsettling weariness. Kiara, her brilliant mathematical mind, visibly struggled, frantically attempting to reconcile a torrent of new, discordant variables that shattered her previously unshakable calculations. Bronk, meanwhile, had instinctively begun to widen the distance between his bulk and the human, a primal unease stirring within him. "The Kepler Station incident," Professor Zithgar articulated, his voice now a mere whisper, laced with disbelief, "involved a solitary operative successfully infiltrating a monumentally fortified position. The combatant, as recorded, eliminated 17 hostile forces while simultaneously securing critically classified intelligence materials." 19, Marcus calmly corrected. Professor Zithar's eyes widened, then narrowed. 19 casualties, the final tally. 2 more neutralized during the exfil. The professor's fingers danced across his datapad, the Academy records flashing. "Cadet Chen," the professor began, "your file notes no prior military experience, a civilian exchange student." "My file is incomplete," Marcus responded, as if the omission was inconsequential. "I was told my past was classified. Something about diplomatic sensitivities. Classified service record?" The professor's voice held a note of awe. 6 years with the Human Colonial Defense Force, Marcus revealed. Deep reconnaissance and direct action. 3 Outer Rim tours, 2 in the neutral zone, and 1, now declassified. The datapad displayed the entirety of Marcus's service, unlocked by Academy protocols. The professor's face contorted in disbelief. "Cadet Chen," he began cautiously, "your record indicates multiple valor citations." "The circumstances demanded it," Marcus replied, understated as ever. 17 weapons systems you're an expert in, the professor finished. "Actually," Marcus corrected, 23. That doesn't include my final deployment. Explosives, electronics, linguistics, and psychological operations. The professor paused. "The SCOPS training was theoretical," Marcus reassured. "Kiara processed the information with Xeneron efficiency." "The probability of an elite operative in our class is approaching 0, she announced. "Not random," Marcus confirmed. "I was assigned to study coalition tactics, to understand, collaborate, and assess training." "And your academic performance?" Professor Zathar asked, his voice a whisper. "Carefully calibrated," Marcus replied. "I was told to blend, to learn, to not disrupt." The unspoken truth hung heavy. The human they underestimated had been analyzing their flaws, studying their tactics. "The combat footage," Professor Zathar said slowly, "represents standard human military." "Not standard," Marcus corrected. "I was part of a specialized unit. Human doctrine focuses on adaptability, improvisation. Vex tool, sensing danger, sharpened his gaze. "Studying our combat?" "Indeed," Marcus confirmed. "Observation has been mutual. Your berserker tactics are interesting, relying on intimidation. But, if the initial assault is disrupted..." The cold analysis of Drakarian weaknesses sent a ripple of unease through the room. "Xenuran precision strikes?" Kiara inquired, curiosity piqued. "Mathematically impressive," Marcus conceded, "but predictable. You prioritize efficiency, creating exploitable patterns. Thagarian demolitions, effective but indiscriminate. Krillian siege tactics, methodical, professional, but reliant on established doctrine." A chilling revelation echoed through the lecture hall, as Marcus, a human cadet, exposed a meticulously crafted deception. His quiet competence, masked by a professional facade, crumbled, revealing a profound understanding of alien warfare strategies. The professor's exoskeleton, a symbol of alien authority, remained frozen. "You've been analyzing all of us," the professor's voice, stark and accusatory, echoed through the room. Marcus, his voice calm, responded, "It's my directive. Educational, purely. To grasp the different species' approaches to conflict, not exploit weaknesses." Yet his observations had exposed vulnerabilities in every alien race present, an automatic, trained response. "It's hard to switch off that analytical mindset," he conceded, his words dropping like stones in the sudden silence. 23 alien minds raced, recalibrating their understanding of humans, their perception of the threat they once underestimated, and their safety. The weight of Marcus's revelation bore down on them, each alien's future uncertain. "Cadet Chen," Professor Ska began, his voice strained. "Why reveal your identity now?" Marcus considered, his eyes holding a steely glint. Revealing classified footage demanded a direct response. The alternative was a struggle through incomplete information, he clarified, his words measured and deliberate. The assignment from covert observation to direct consultation was designed for this very moment. This is a perfect time for it. Direct consultation. Cross-training programs, incorporating human tactical doctrine, were being developed. This would place the human, the seemingly innocuous gesture of diplomacy, as a guide in advanced combat techniques. The footage, just viewed, would become a standard across their militaries, confirming the professor's question. "Advanced techniques will be introduced gradually, based on individual aptitude," Marcus declared. The operation itself was a basic infiltration, but human military doctrine embraces much more complex scenarios: psychological warfare, deep cover missions, strategic deception. A digital chime echoed through the room, breaking the tense silence. Academy-wide announcement. All students enrolled in Professor Zakar's Tactical Warfare class remain seated. Academy security will escort you to the mandatory briefing. Marcus's disclosure had been anticipated, a meticulously orchestrated response. Professor Zathar, his face etched with resignation, questioned the extent of the plan. How long have you planned this, Katie Chen? Not planned. My superiors, upon completion of the intelligence phase and administration's readiness, authorized my transition to overt status. The entire exchange program, you see, was an intelligence and education initiative. Education is the primary goal, not intelligence, Marcus corrected, maintaining an unwavering composure. The main doors hissed open. 6 figures in Academy security uniforms strode in, efficient and unwavering. Commander Thexmal, the lead officer, approached Professor Ska. Professor, I'm Commander Thexmal, Academy Security. We need to process personnel exposed to classified information during today's session. Marcus, gathering his materials, addressed the class one final time. The Advanced Instruction Program will offer opportunities for students with appropriate aptitude and clearance. The selection process begins next week. The warrior spirit in Vextol ignited. Practical evaluations, assessing adaptability, strategic thinking, and psychological resilience. He continued, success brings specialized training, boosting careers. You'll be teaching these classes. Yes, that's the plan. Marcus's voice held a hint of a smile. Human tactical doctrine. A profound shift in understanding gripped Professor Zuthkar as the Human Exchange Program unveiled unsettling truths about coalition security. The lecture hall, once a bastion of established hierarchies, now echoed with the potential for interspecies revolution. Amanda Thexmal efficiently processed the cadets, each signing non-disclosure agreements with varying degrees of apprehension. A pivotal moment had arrived, transforming the students' understanding of galactic military dynamics. The transition phase concluded successfully. Commander Thexel reported to Commandant Vor, detailing the comprehensive briefings and psychological evaluations. Mixed responses were evident, as expected. Krillian students demonstrated exemplary adaptability. Draorian students exhibited heightened stress, but maintained operational focus. Zenurian students recalibrated their threat assessments. Thargarian students required additional explanation, but grasped the implications and the uniquely human element. Instructor Chen's management of revelations surpassed all projections, a testament to his exceptional skill. His transition from covert operations to overt leadership was executed with unwavering precision. Commandant Vor reported to Coalition Military Command, requesting authorization for Phase 2. Authorization was granted. Instructor Chen confirmed readiness for immediate advanced instruction. The Coalition Council, recognizing the program's potential, approved unlimited resources. This minor diplomatic gesture was poised to become the cornerstone of coalition military evolution. Marcus, meanwhile, finalized advanced curriculum development for the program, focusing on progressive complexity, fundamental concept revision, practical application scenarios, and tactical integration exercises. Velos, a Zentoran intelligence coordinator, noted the essential reliance on student adaptability. Zenorans would thrive in the mathematical aspects of psychological warfare, but might struggle with its intuitive components. Kroleians excelled at strategic planning, but resisted deceptive tactics. Draarians, naturally adept at psychological intimidation, required guidance for constructive application. Thargarians would likely experiment with explosive solutions during theory integration, but ultimately excel in practical application. Instructor Chen's assessment highlighted that human tactical doctrine necessitated not just a revision, but a complete reimagining of coalition military philosophy to address scenarios where limitations become constraints, like asymmetric warfare, logistical challenges, and psychological operations aimed at achieving strategic objectives. With strategic foresight, Marcus explained the new program's objective. Human tactical expertise could enhance coalition strengths. The program aimed to augment existing capabilities, providing alternative combat strategies. Intelligence officers grasped the implications. Coalition forces would gain both conventional and unconventional warfare options. Students completing the advanced program would excel in standard operations while mastering specialized skills for alternative approaches, including ethically challenging techniques. Marcus, acknowledging the delicate nature of the discussion, clarified, human military ethics prioritize mission success and force preservation, meaning victory is paramount within legal limits. This pragmatic philosophy created a contemplative silence. Instructor Chen inquired about student responses to tactics prioritizing effectiveness over honor. Some will adapt, others won't, Marcus stated candidly. The selection process identifies those compatible with pragmatic warfare. Incompatible students will return to standard education. The aim isn't to force conversion, but to create a hybrid Kartra capable of combined human coalition operations, leveraging coalition firepower with human tactical flexibility. These hybrid units would possess superior capabilities. Marcus affirmed that practical effectiveness hinges on integrating different tactical philosophies and command structures, and human command is eager to be involved. Integration is a significant strategic advantage for humans, granting access to superior coalition resources. Human motives for coalition membership are strategic, not ideological, Marcus admitted. They support coalition ideals because they align with human interests. If alignment ceased, so would their commitment. However, he continued, human analysis suggests sustained alignment is likely. The implications resonated. Human loyalty is conditional on mutual benefit. Marcus concluded, similar threats, compatible objectives, and cooperative resource utilization. Unforeseen threats loom, surpassing human and coalition might. Human intellect unveils formidable foes, Marcus stated, requiring unified human and coalition action. You speak of classified dangers. This program's purpose, Marcus declared, his tone final, shutting down further questions. Intelligence Officer Velos finalized notes, the advanced training's true nature revealed. Preparation for conflicts against enemies beyond our current defense. Instructor Chen, ready to start? Tomorrow, Marcus responded swiftly. The classrooms set, the curriculum distributed, selected students conditioned. Psychological conditioning, preparing for tactical concepts that challenge the norm. We aim to lessen cultural shock and maximize learning, Marcus explained. Can coalition students master human tactics? Selected aspects, Marcus corrected. Complete mastery is beyond this program, but enough for practical use, for hybrid operations. The initiative's core, confirmed Marcus. Velos submitted his assessment. Human integration surpasses all expectations. Recommend immediate full implementation. 3 months later, instructor Marcus Chen faced a new class. Cadets, the coalition's finest, selected for their resilience to handle human tactics. Vex Tool sat among them, warrior pride both broken and remade. Kiara, in her usual front row spot, calculated probability matrices for psychological warfare. Even Bronk was present, pending remedial courses and improved subtlety. Today, psychological operations, Marcus announced, holding the mixed class in thrall. A mix of fascination and barely masked fear. We learn how perception shapes the battlefield. Professor Zethar, now assistant instructor, watched, knowing the galaxy was far more perilous than he'd believed. From skeptic to convert, though he still questioned teaching aliens to think like humans. The future favors those who adapt quickly. And Marcus Chen, the unassuming exchange student who revolutionized coalition military education by simply being honest, had become the architect of that future. The irony wasn't lost on anyone, how the species everyone deemed harmless had quietly prepared to teach them all how to fight better than they'd ever dreamed possible.